Top of the day to you on this inspirational day. I hope all is well as you went to and fro on this earth, and I pray that your journey was safe. Well, top of the day and blessings into you as we enter into our inspirational journey to meditating on it day and night as we come to a closing of our day. So I ask you, is all is well? Did you recognize what pertains to you? Have you learned to worry about you? How was your day? Did you fall into focus? These are things that would help you face yourself. We still in facing ourselves. It's three segments to this. It's facing yourself, facing your enemy, and facing your destiny. So as we continue on with facing ourselves, today is about how to have spiritual fruit, spiritual growth that's within yourselves. All right. In order to have spiritual growth or spiritual fruit, it's something that's not forced. Okay. So you don't have to force yourself to do it. You don't have to be perfect in whatever you're doing in order to obtain this, beauty about yourself. And this is an inner growth, a spiritual growth. It helps you become the best of who you are. It's about cultivating the kind of inner life where good things like naturally grow. So you remember, you don't have to be holy, you don't have to be perfect. All right. So the first step about this having spiritual fruit has to do with discovering the root. Okay, you want to start at the root and you want to have that connection about yourself. So in order to go, so if you need to get a pen and a paper, please do so. Highlighters, a journal, because we are about to enter into ourselves and meditate on ourselves. We talked about it yesterday about meditating on ourselves day and night in order to be a better person, in order to look within to see why have I not made it to, where I want to be in life. And some of this has to do with how we are within. And then some of it has to do with our surroundings. But you have to at least meet your own self halfway. You got to help yourself help you. So start with the root. This is your inner connection. Spiritual growth comes from spiritual connection. So people describe this differently. So everybody's spiritual growth doesn't come all at once. Your spiritual growth doesn't come all at once. It's in steps. Sometimes you have already mastered half of this and you don't even know, just because how life is. When life be life and you don't have no other choice but to adapt and to grow and to where you need to be. And then some people don't grow. They just stop and, get turned around. But in order for to face yourself and you want to fight for yourself and self-love, this is what we want to investigate and to break down and examine within our own self. All right. So this connection has to do with God, the divine has to do with you, the Holy Spirit within, the inner light, the inner source. Sometimes you look at people and you're like, why do that person not like me? Or why are they treating me differently? And it's that light that you have in yourself that you don't even see, and then sometimes people don't like you because of who you are, but you can't help it because this is how you was created. This is how you was designed. And then sometimes you don't even like your own self, because you feel like you're not enough, but you are. All right. So whenever you begin to look within to what matters, you want to open yourself up to something greater than your ego, because sometimes that messes us up too. Our ego. Sometimes we think higher than ourselves than we ought to, and then sometimes we think too low of ourselves than we should. Ways to strengthen that connection is quiet prayer and meditation. And we talked about meditation on yesterday. You want to meditate. How you meditate, sometimes you go out, you sit outside in the middle of the yard, or you just set aside yourself, you walk in a park, or you just take time to just be alone. And you want to clear your mind, and you just want to allow inner peace, not to always think about all your problems. That's what they call meditation. Or you think of a word, and you meditate on that, and you try to see how is it going to benefit, your production. Then it's like being honest. We talked about being honest with yourself, being honest with God. Some of this is a recap of yesterday. So you're already on the road of being great and having great success within yourself. All right. Ready to always be a better person, to be a better you, never to like always, jump into something that, you're not ready for, but you always want to be ready to be ready. And part of this is being honest with yourself, what you do, being honest with God about how you feel about who you are, you know, and then you have to be ready to dive into reading sacred texts. And we talked about that in order to investigate and to find out. Because I know I have questions and I know you have questions about your surroundings, who you want to be, how you end up where you are, and what went around. Because sometimes our parents, they didn't tell us what we need to know. And sometimes when we asked, they wouldn't share, And then sometimes as we see in our lives, some things we are too embarrassed or too ashamed to share. And we just don't want those dead bones to rise, just let them skeletons stay in the closet, we just don't want to go back to that old life. We want to become new. And this is what it's all about. We're facing ourselves so we can be new. We don't want to have that old self. We were created to be new. And here we are. All right. Sitting in silence and listening to inwardly. So that's part of what meditation is about. You sitting in silence and listen to this inner peace that you have within yourself. All right. Nourishing the soil. So we have daily habits. So when you nourish the soil, you kind of look at your habits. What are some of the habits that you think that will hold you back, or that you could break through or quit or sacrifice in order to be a better person, to get further in life? So in order to nourish yourself, you have to look at your habits that you have, that's inside your inner world and yourself, that others could have seen and told you and you just chose not to pretend. And then you have these inner self that you could build on yourself, that you could recognize within yourself how you are. All right. So those are your daily habits in order to nourish your soil. So these are practice that you can practice about. You have gratitude. You can practice gratitude, self-examination. What's going on in your heart today? Did you recognize what pertains to you? Did you let other people fluster you? Did you learn things about yourself? Did you even push yourself to be a greater you today? Did you try to go outside and, go work outside the box? Because sometimes we just like to stay within our box. And then sometimes in order to grow, you have to, take a leap of faith. Then with this here, you also want to prune what drains you. And we was talking about that earlier. So just like a plant and pruning, when a plant, sometimes you have to cut off certain parts of the plant in order for it to make it grow. And that's certain things about our lives that we have to do. So just like a plant needs pruning, your spirit needs that space too. So it's like releasing toxic patterns. Toxic patterns. You have to release that. Sometimes I have toxic patterns that I had to release. I used to be an underdog, always fighting for other people, fighting their battles. Even if they didn't even ask me, if I see something wrong, I'm fighting their battles. But then when I go and stand up for them, they standing back, not saying nothing. And here I am getting all the brute and the beat up parts that they should have got. And I just feel like, okay, I'm doing something. I'm speaking up for what is right, what is true, speaking up for justice, but not all the time. Justice is for me. I end up getting beat up because I'm speaking up for somebody else. So releasing toxic patterns, setting boundaries. So you have to set boundaries within yourself. These are things that drains you. You have to prune those things away. Confessing mistakes without shame. Sometimes you got to say, okay, look, I was wrong yesterday in the chat. I was wrong. I wasn't wrong, but I was wrong. It's like, okay, this is it. And it's okay wrong with confessing, oh, my bad. It's okay to do that. Some people will be too ashamed to confess. Letting go guilt that doesn't help you grow. Sometimes we grow up with all kinds of guilt and things that we should have done and didn't do. And we harp on that. And sometimes that holds us back. So these are things that you need to prune that drains you. Choosing relationships that encourage your growth. Not everybody is for you. Sometimes you have friends and people that you try to hold on to, and it's time to like let them go. It's not that you don't want to stop being friends with them. It's just on this journey that you're going on, you cannot take everybody with you. Some people you have to leave behind. Pruning isn't punishment. It's just preparation. Everybody may not be ready for what you're ready for. Everybody is going that way, but it's like everybody on different levels and on different paths. We're on the same path, but just different levels on it. And sometimes you can't hold yourself and wait for somebody else to catch up. You have to take off running yourself, because we all have to stand individually for ourselves. It's not, everybody's race. Okay, we have something in the chat. Personal growth and self-development is a must. It is a must, but then some people do not know how to go about having personal growth and self-development. And it is a must. And it's okay. You got to learn how to stand individually for yourself. You got to fight for yourself. Thank you for that, right? Practice the fruits you want to grow. Spiritual fruit grows through practice, not perfection. Wait. You want to wait. You want to have like patience sometimes. And if you want patience, a lot of people say, oh, I prayed for patience. But then when you pray for patience and then you get what you prayed for, then you be all mad. You be mad at God, be mad at yourself, mad at everybody else. But you got he answered your prayers and you got what you prayed for. So sometimes it's tests and trials and tribulations in order for to help you, you know, cultivate that patience. So sometimes you just like, you want patience, practice slowing down and taking small moments. Slowing down in small moments. That's patient, taking your time. You want peace? Practice responding instead of reacting. Sometimes I told y'all I would pop off in a minute, okay? So I have to practice peace in order to have peace within ourselves. All right. You want kindness? Kindness. Practice small acts of generosity. Okay, let's see. You you gotta go through things to gain what you ask for. I definitely agree. But then whenever people start going through it, they don't know the difference. They just see that they having trouble in their lives and then they want to blame others or blame God because they experiencing more hardship than they want to. So yes, I definitely would agree to that. Thank you for that. You get hearts. What about self-control? You want self-control? Practice pausing before acting. And sometimes I would go from 0 to 100. Before I even think about what I'm doing, I just go off and do it. So these are practices that of the fruits that you want to grow. All right. So stay connected during hard seasons. Fruit often grows the most during struggles. Hard times soften the heart, deepens compassions, and strengthen the faith. Now I'm saying this, but at the same time, you don't think about half of this stuff whenever you're going through it. All you do is just try to survive and stay above the water. And that's how it is. But this segment is teaching us how to just sit back. These are part of our fruits. These are things that we can see within ourselves that we're going through. And so as we recognize, and this is where we need to have prune and that we need to practice and have work within. These are the items that we need to work on ourselves about. This is still about facing yourselves. So if you see that some of these things that we're talking about, it's like, okay, oh yeah, that's me. These are areas that you have to work within yourselves. And it just take piece and time at a time. Piece at a time. Stay connected during these hard seasons. All right. So fruit often grows the most during the struggles, but then instead of asking And we had this in our chat, remember? Why is this happening to me? And we often ask that question. And so, what we should ask is, what is it teaching me? How can I grow from this? Where is God in this moment? What is He trying to teach me? Because a lot of people feel that, oh, God is silent. He's not really answering my prayers. But sometimes we be so involved in that, we don't even try to see that He is answering it. It's just not coming at the way that we expect it to come as. Growth often hides inside discomfort. Iron sharpen irons. One man conscience sharpens the other. And then sometimes people would tell you about yourself and you get mad, you know, oh, you are this and that. And then you be mad about it. But if you really just sit and meditate on the things and you self-evaluate yourself, then maybe you can see like, oh, am I? Am I like that? And then you jot it down and you begin to work on that so you wouldn't be like that. Okay. So as we go through this, these are all fruits and things that we need to grow, things that we face in ourselves in order for to help us along our way. All right. So as we enter into this, then we want to look at some of the fruits that we have. So love is one. Sometimes people have problems with love. Love is unconditional. It's selfless. You have to sacrifice. That kind of love that seeks the good of others, even if it's difficult. Sometimes people are difficult to love. Sometimes you have to love them in a distance, because people, they just hard to deal with because their spirit is bad and they don't even know they got a bad spirit. Sometimes we have a bad spirit or ways within ourselves that may be ugly to others. But still we want to say that, oh, we godly, or we have this character, or we this and that, but then we're not really seeing that we do have other inner things about ourselves that we need to develop and to work on. What about joy? Okay, they say joy is unspeakable. It's best to have joy that's unspeakable. Okay, so the difference between joy and happiness is because things that happen to you, you happy about. But whenever you don't have that happiness and things are rough, then what happens? But see, they say joy goes all through that. Regardless of what circumstance I in, I'm not going to let it overwhelm me. I'm going to fight. I'm going to find a way to persevere and press through. So joy is deep, is steady gladness that isn't based on circumstances. Same thing I was saying. It's kind of joy that remains even in hardship because it's rooted in God, not in situation. So we there? All right. What about peace? Do you have peace about yourself? Peace is like an inner calm. It's a wholeness, harmony with God and others. It's the opposite of the anxiety and chaos in a settled heart. I tell people I got anxiety, and anxiety now has been capitalized and monetized. Now everybody got anxiety, so we have to work on that to have that peace, in the storm. Like, what if your area or something going on around you? You can't freak out. You got to have a plan and work the plan. You got to learn how to maneuver out of it. If everybody going that way and you see there's danger, you got to know the difference to save yourself and go that way. Go another way. Don't go the same way everybody else going. All right. Patience. And we talked about praying for patience. People pray for patience and they get patience, but as they go through trials and tribulations, they say joy comes in the morning, but the morning takes forever to come. Yes, yes, that is so true. Joy do come in the morning. So our ancestors and elders have created so many songs and so many things that we did not figure out until after we got older. And we start going through all these issues and differences. And we start saying, oh, I understand why they said that now, but we didn't understand it then. Like, we just thought it was crazy. Like, these old people saying all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, forgive me saying elders. Forgive me. What about, okay, so we did